All right, so welcome everybody. Good morning, thanks for joining us. I'm Todd Perrin, owner and chef here at Mallard Cottage. Today I have some of my colleagues from across the tourism travel sector in Newfoundland and Labrador. We have Anne-Marie Boudreau, Chief Executive Officer, St. John's Board of Trade, Kathy Duke, CEO, Destination St. John's, Captain Barry Rogers, President of Iceberg Quest Tours, Brenda O'Reilly, owner of O'Reilly's Irish Newfoundland Pub and Yellow Belly Brewery, and Mayor Danny Breen, City of St. John's. Thanks to all my colleagues for showing up today. As a small province, the people of Newfoundland and Labrador are used to supporting one another and adapting during tough times. With stay-at-home orders and travel bans, it was wonderful to see community come together during these hard times to support local businesses like mine and those of my colleagues here. Despite best efforts and local community support, it's not enough to maintain the tourism industry and the broader economy. We need Canadians from across the country to come visit our beautiful province and support our local businesses. The tourism industry in Newfoundland and Labrador represents almost 1 in 10 jobs across the province and relies on domestic travel, which accounts for over 85% of visitors every year. We've started to see a rebound in economic activity with the recent lifting of travel restrictions from the provincial government, and this was welcome news for me, as I'm sure it was for all of my colleagues today. However, the reality is that the last year has impacted all of our businesses, and we face significant challenges in keeping our businesses afloat. We are now well into the summer season, the most crucial time of year for our industry, and we believe it's time for Canadians to return to visiting and exploring our local communities. Local businesses are suffering unnecessarily because of confusion and uncertainty over how safe domestic travel is. We believe it's important for Canadians to receive a clear message from the federal government to restore confidence and certainty about domestic travel. People come to this province for many reasons. We have something for everyone. We have culinary experiences, we have beautiful scenery, we have whale tours, we have cultural events, beautiful, varied, one of the greatest places in all of Canada to visit. It's time for Canadians to enjoy these experiences again and explore our beautiful country. I thank you all for coming, and I now have the great privilege to pass the microphone over to the Mayor of St. John's, Danny Breen.
Thanks very much, Todd, and it's always a pleasure anytime on a Tuesday morning you get an opportunity to go to Kitty Vitty Village. You take it pretty quick, especially for an important morning like this. Because Todd is correct. We have, as a municipal government, the city has taken on some projects to help get the tourism industry rolling here between the pedestrian mall, and you see what's going to happen here in Kitty Vitty Village by making it a pedestrian mall in a certain location over the next little while. And the province has a reopening plan that we're working towards. But what we need now is we need an overall federal plan. We need some encouragement from the federal government that you know what we've done and what we've listened to and the work that we've done. We can now invite people back to see our province, to visit here, because the road back to recovery on tourism is going to take a while, and we need to get at it. And it took a long time. The last 18 months have been tough, and we've got a lot of work to do to get us back to where we need. But we need to start that. So I'm very pleased to join the industry here this morning. Tourism is a huge part of the economy of St. John's and a huge part of the economy of Newfoundland and Labrador. And we want to support our local businesses any way we possibly can. And we need all levels of government to work towards that and to get things moving again. So thanks very much. And I hope everybody has a great morning. I hope you get to, anybody's visiting here, hope they get a chance to go out and have a look at the scenery around here because it's spectacular. And there is no more beautiful place in the world than St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Breen. I'm delighted to be here today. The tourism and travel sector play a vital role in our economy. Our province and tourism are synonymous. Many people across Canada have visited Newfoundland and Labrador on their bucket lists, and for many, the adventure starts here in St. John's. Without question, businesses like those represented here today provide critical cultural and economic value to Newfoundland and Labrador's economy. But this year, for the second year in a row, many businesses, big and small, are struggling because so much of our economy relies on tourism and the visitors that come from outside of our province, from all across Canada and beyond. Summer in St. John's, while beautiful, is certainly short. One day in the summer can be worth a week's worth of business for many in the winter, and it is quickly slipping away. St. John's businesses are doing what they do best. They're opening safely to provide the most amazing travel experience. Many of our local companies have invested significantly to ensure their businesses are safe for visitors. Businesses have done their part, but now it's time for government to stand up and do theirs. They must start encouraging Canadians to leave their homes and explore our wonderful country. I would now like to introduce Kathy Duke, CEO of Destination St. John's.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. It's a pleasure to join you all here today. I echo the calls from my industry colleagues. It's wonderful to see our city coming back to life again. And when I look around today at the beautiful view of Kitty Vitty, I feel so fortunate to call St. John's our home. At Destination St. John's, I have the privilege to work with tourism partners in the St. John's region and across Newfoundland and Labrador to promote our destination to Canada and the world. Our city is steeped in history, boasting the oldest city in North America. It's known for its vibrant music scene, its rich culinary offerings, and its colorful characters. Surrounded by rugged coastline, it is home to world-class hiking trails and a stage for passing icebergs and whales. St. John's has long been a sought-after destination for Canadian travelers. We want the rest of Canada to experience everything our province offers. We were very relieved when the province lifted the domestic travel restrictions on July 1st. Within hours of this announcement, visiting friends and relatives immediately booked their trip home. Local residents continue to support our restaurants, our pubs, our retail businesses, but the impact of the pandemic are still being felt by these businesses and many others, like accommodations, tour companies, and our transportation providers. There just isn't enough business generated by our small population in Newfoundland and Labrador to support our tourism industry. We need non-resident visitors. The impacts of the pandemic are long-term, as the Mayor mentioned, and will be felt in our tourism industry for months and even years to come. As we know, the tourism industry was the first hit, the hardest hit, and unfortunately will be the last to recover. In Newfoundland and Labrador, we have always been heavily dependent on the domestic market, with 85% of our visitors coming from within Canada. I cannot emphasize enough the importance of our Prime Minister now encouraging Canadians to travel this summer and fall. We need a comprehensive reopening plan with clear rules around travel in order to ensure safe, accessible, and timely travel for Canadians this summer. Destination Canada research indicates that if Canadians shift 2/3 of their planned international spend that they would have done this year toward domestic tourism, it'll make up for the $19 billion shortfall currently facing our industry. It is clear there is still hesitation among Canadians about getting on a plane and traveling to another province. We need to restore confidence for travel in Canada this summer. Our message to Canada: this is your time. Come and visit. Check Newfoundland and Labrador off your bucket list. With our wide open spaces, there is so much here to safely explore. Thank you. I'd like to hand it over now to Barry Rogers, President, Iceberg Quest Tours.
Good morning. Thank you, Kathy. Tourism fuels Iceberg Alley, And we are so proud to announce that since Newfoundland and Labrador have reopened to the rest of Canada, we are back in business. My name is Captain Barry Rogers, and I'm the owner and operator of Iceberg Quest Ocean Tours. The past year and a half has been the toughest challenge that tourism has ever experienced in my history. This time has been tough on all of us, of course. Every single corner and every hamlet of this province was rocked by COVID-19. From the hotel operators, the bars, the restaurants, the airports, the airlines, we have all felt the pinch of COVID-19. Without question, the tourism industry has been disproportionate from and impacted. And as Newfoundland and Labrador relies so heavily on tourism, none of us were immune from the economic impacts resulting from the global pandemic. Tour operators like Iceberg Quest rely on visitors from Canada and around the globe to keep our world-famous iceberg and whale adventures business going. We rely on outsiders to keep this rock we call home prosperous. I really want to thank our provincial leaders at this time for taking the necessary steps to allow us to safely reopen. I'm so happy to report that as of last week, our business, and I'm sure so many other businesses throughout the province, has started to rebound. More bookings, more outings, a general sense that we are indeed getting back into business. You've all heard the old cliche, it's the tip of the iceberg. Folks, this particular year and a half has never been truer. And I am not referring to the icebergs in Iceberg Alley. Rather, it's an analogy for where we are today, is where we are. And at the very beginning, tourism is not back where it was, and I don't expect it to return for a long time. At this time, our boats normally, this time of the year, would usually be full. Our streets buzzing, our bars and restaurants screeching in, going on downtown, Newfoundlanders nightly coming from away. On the contrary, it's still quiet in St. John's in comparison to what we've experienced in the past 2019 backwards. To that end, I believe that there are still some things we can do to get tourists back to St. John's and our wonderful province so that we can show everyone the wonderful hospitality that Newfoundland and Labrador are famous for. We need our leaders to remind Canadians that it's safe to explore Canada this summer. Canadians are still a little hesitant, unfortunately, to leave their homes. Our leaders must encourage this, indeed, that it is safe, because our industry needs tourists this summer. At the beginning of the pandemic, everyone will remember that Canadians from coast to coast to coast came together and committed to shop local. Extraordinary. Like with retail, we need Canadians to adopt this mindset for travel the same way. Come see our country. We are waiting for you. Many Canadians have not seen our magnificent country thoroughly. And this particular province that we proudly call home, it's certainly should be on the list of to visit. I challenge everyone to help their compatriots and book their summer vacation in Canada this year. To do this, we need our governments on all levels to remind Canadians that once fully vaccinated, it is safe for the whole family to travel. I look forward to welcoming home my fellow Canadians to Newfoundland and Labrador and opening my arms to those around the world and globe. Newfoundland and Labrador and Iceberg Quest is open. Come see us, and we will see you on the next high tide. I'll now hand it over to Brenda O'Reilly, the owner of the famous O'Reilly's Irish Pub. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Barry. Of course, I am also the chair of Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador, and in my private life, I own O'Reilly's Irish Newfoundland Pub, Yellow Belly Brewery and Public House on Water Street, Yellow Belly at the airport, and soon to be opening the Harbour Grace Courthouse in Harbour Grace, which will house a beer hall, a speakeasy, and the jail yard will be a beer garden this summer, so it's opening soon. So I've got a script here, but I'm not much for scripts, so I'm going to be honest. This is the tourism industry, as Barry alluded to. It's a $1.14 billion industry prior to COVID. And I always say it is the tip of the iceberg. We could be so much more. So, we're looking for, we know when we open our borders on July 1st, which we needed that signal to get tourism going again, and we applaud the government in doing that and getting July 1st date. We didn't see a flood of, tourists coming yet, but with the vaccinations rolling out, we expect that could happen. Hopefully we'll get a later fall business out of this. Of course, we did see a lot of expats come home right away, to embrace family and friends, and we expected that would happen. But of course, we need the Canadians to come to Newfoundland and Labrador. 86% of the people that come here are from Canada, and 50% of those are from Ontario itself. So we need people to come, and we need government to. I think we need an incentive plan to give people, confidence is everything. And, we can see vaccinations are rolling out, and Canada's leading the world, really. And Newfoundland and Labrador is the #1 place in all of North America for vaccinations. So super proud to be from this province. And, of course, this time of year, we're usually planning downtown, I own as Barry said, a famous bar on George Street. It was actually voted Canada's favorite bar. So we need all Canadians to come see it. We're normally screeching people in this time of year, and we're seeing tourists, and we're full, and we have live music 7 nights a week, and the music industry has been really hard hit as well, and we've tried all year to keep music going, but we need people. We need people to come support local, and we need people to come in and, support live music, and we'd be normally doing screech-ins, but of course, with COVID, I don't know, we'd have to kiss the cat about 6 feet apart, blow it a kiss or something. I'm not quite sure how we're going to do it, but we'll figure it out. We want everybody to come and become an honorary Newfoundlander and Labradorian. And, of course, we're missing our festivals this year. This is when we'll be planning George Street Festival and all these other beautiful festivals we have in this province. And the George Street Festival itself brings in so many tourists. And, of course, there's no George Street Festival this summer, so that's a bit sad. But, all the same, our businesses are open. We can start accepting people to come in, and we need the some of the clear indicators. Like, people are nervous, there's no doubt, but the confidence fact that we're opened is good. I see some provinces are lifting some of their mask restrictions and some of their distancing restrictions, so that's giving people some confidence that it's safe to get out and about and enjoy what all tourism has to offer. We are a big industry. We represent, 20,000 people in a good time. So we're hoping we can get back to that again and even bigger. With also all the messaging that's coming from the federal government, to have Canada be one big country and everybody have the same kind of rules and protocols when it comes to COVID. And let's hope that people come to visit us this summer and spread the word. We're open for business here in Newfoundland and Labrador. And, of course, we have the pedestrian mall downtown now, thanks to the mayor and the council. That's great to enjoy outdoors. St. John's is a great city to come visit, and of course, the pedestrian mall is a fantastic way to enjoy, outside and enjoy the restaurants and the bars downtown. Well, that's it for me. So hopefully we'll see a lot more Canadians come visit this summer. And when we get the borders open to international travelers as well. Of course, the staycations have been a big part of the last year and this year as well. And we really appreciate the locals coming and supporting our businesses. But, of course, for every dollar they spend, the Canadian traveler spends twice as much, and the international traveler spends 3 times as much. So here's to a good tourism season. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. So we'll now move on to the question and answer period. So we'll start with questions here on location in St. John's. Please approach the microphone. If you could please tell us who you're from and your name before you ask the question, that would be great.
Glenn Whiffen from the Telegram's Hot War Network. Just want to know, anybody can answer, what do you see as the federal government's role here, and how can the Prime Minister improve the confidence level in Canadians to travel?
I think really what we need is a plan that is consistent right across the country. We opened on July 1st. we had visitors who didn't even realize we were open. And even though Newfoundland Labrador Tourism are marketing and Destination St. John's is marketing, we think everybody knows that we're open. But that's not the case. So I think we really need some messaging that we're open for business, and we need really a consistent plan across the country so that people feel that it's safe to travel. So we need that information about how you travel, what's required, so that it's very consistent across the country. So I think that's what we're looking for, is a plan and something that's really proactive so that people do know that we're open and that it is safe to travel.
Hi there, Richard Duggan from VOCM, and anyone who wishes to answer can. It was mentioned a couple of times in this press conference, the need to change the mindset of Canadians across the country. After 16 months of a pandemic, how difficult of a mindset do you think that'll be to change? And what would your message be to anyone who may be on the fence right now about coming here?
Thanks for the question, Richard. So for the last year, we've been hearing how all the COVID cases that have come into the province have been travel related. So, you know, it was almost like we had an empty lobby because of COVID.
Someone coming now.
You know, because every time you hear that, it's a negative context towards travel. And so, you know, with vaccinations rolling out, you know, we need to come out and now say it's safe to travel. Governments need to say that, they need to clearly say that it is safe to travel. Further to the question before that, we need to, the federal government can, if they put an incentive in for Canadians to get out and travel, that will help build some confidence as well. So we would like to look for something like that from the federal government.
Hello, Henrike Wilhelm from CBC. Anyone can answer the question. I'm just kind of wondering, you're saying you want the federal government to bring out the message that it's safe to come here. It was mentioned that Newfoundland and Labrador is #1 place when it comes to vaccinations, but that's really just the first dose. And we just heard yesterday that the regatta is not going to happen this year again the way it usually does. So how do you really want this message to come across to the rest of Canada that it's really safe to come here if those two things, for example, are a given?
Hi there. I think, you know, certainly a lot of the messaging is that people are doing the right things here to make it safe. So when we see things that are being, you know, if it is being modified or if there are steps being taken to change a festival this year, that's because it's being done so that it is safe for people to be a part of things. So I think the message certainly is businesses, tourism industry have taken the steps to do the things to make it safe. So the things that you can access are okay, which is why now we need the message, go out, explore your country. It's okay to leave your home and it's okay to visit another province because the things that you can access are safe to participate in.
Are there any more questions here on the ground? Okay, yes, go ahead.
Hi there. As was mentioned, we're now nearing the middle of July. So how urgent is this message that you're delivering today, and how soon do you need to see action?
Thanks, Richard, for the question. I mean, you know, the urgency is paramount. We're in the middle of July. The peak normal tourism season for, you know, St. John's and Newfoundland generally is last week of July, first week of August. So we're about to cross over the period of time when we normally would have our kind of peak of the season. I think a lot of us are hoping that, you know, it'll be strong into the fall and whatnot as vaccinations continue to roll out. But, you know, the reality is that the hole in the ground that's been created by COVID-19 is vast. And, you know, there's a couple of people on this stage that have lost millions of dollars. And wage subsidies and plans and stuff that we've had have been things that have kept us alive, but just. And you know, the only solution to our issues are for people to start moving again. And I think that what we've all been hinting at is that, you know, at some point we have to turn the corner from being fearful of COVID and living with COVID. This has been a conversation that's been going on throughout the entire pandemic. With vaccinations rolling out, 70% plus, 80% plus, we have to move on to a time when people need to make their decisions, what they feel comfortable doing. As Anne-Marie said, businesses and events have to be safe and do things in the way that are safe. But the goal of this thing all along has been to prevent serious disease and death. And serious diseases and death have plummeted. COVID cases are, at this point is really an irrelevant number. What the impact that it's having on the healthcare system and people's possibility of dying from this disease has been, pushed very, very into a realm of, comparable to other types of things that can happen to you. So, again, not to be over dramatic about it, but the recipe for nothing to ever happen to you is never leave your house. It's like, you drive your car, you can get in a car accident, but you put on a seatbelt. So the seatbelt that we have now is vaccinations and social distancing and mask wearing and all of the things that people are doing. We've become more aware of what it takes to maintain your health and safety from a communicable disease. It's in the front of people's minds. So I think that what we're all asking for is a clear message across the country, because as we said, the regatta's not going ahead, but the Calgary Stampede is. So, there's a dichotomy in that I think that people need to reckon with, and that, we need to look across the country and have a message that is clear, what is safe and why it's safe, and the gray areas are really going to be the things that are going to significantly impact the ability for the tourism sector to rebound from this. Because once we get back into the winter, it's the winter. And so trying to survive another winter, particularly in Newfoundland and Labrador, crippling along the way that we have without having a flush of visitors in the next few months is going to be very difficult to do, and I'd be doubtful to see the supports maintain much into 2022. So, I think that we're all, hopeful that we can now kind of start pulling on the same oar and get a clear message going right across the country that, once you've done X, Y, and Z, it's safe to travel. The people that are taking care of you and care about your safety. And this is the way forward. And this is the world that we live in now in a post-COVID world.
When the July 1st was announced as the opening date for the province, some people were hesitant. I've also heard of people who say they're kind of feeling anxious about the fact that the mask mandate has been loosened in other places. Do you think Newfoundlanders and Labradorians really want the province to be open?
Well, we're operational right now, and we've had guests from out west and New Brunswick, right around Atlantic Canada, and fortunately, just 2 days ago, we done our first bus tour out of Atlantic Canada, and the guests that we're having are fully aware of the conditions around, and the regulations. And I will say we've been operating now for, let's say, just about 3-4 weeks in total, and people have been most respectful. And COVID-19 is not a secret, and folks across this country is aware of that. So, the respect that I've seen for, in my world, the fellow passengers that board our vessels has been, great. So I don't see where this is a continuance of a certain degree of paranoia. We're all aware of it. We're dealing here, in the best way we have by the guidelines of the government, and we've done very well with that. I think, Todd referred to urgency. Urgency, we have a very, very short window. And even in a peak season here in tourism, Newfoundland, Labrador, we've got about 8 weeks of prime on a good year, 2019, backwards. Now that window is so closed in on us that, we've got stakeholders here, over 2,500 or so in Newfoundland and Labrador, that are on the precipice. So the urgency is there for in a lot of ways. Staying in business, there's an emotional aspect to these things as well. A lot of people, around this room here have, invested heavily, financially, emotionally, and passionately into this industry. And there's 2,500 other stakeholders out there just like that. And, to have the threat of loss, it's enormous. And only, is only if you're in those moccasins, to be able to appreciate that. So I think, the time has come. And we, as Todd said earlier, we've done all the conditions of it, and we're ready for business. We're ready to rock and roll. So it's out of our control. We're waiting for Upper Canada to make these decisive decisions and build the confidence of this country. And that's only done by, by speaking out and reassuring that it is indeed safe to travel throughout this country. Thank you.
Brenda O'Reilly mentioned, Brad Ferris, Main TV. Brenda O'Reilly mentioned incentives. What type of incentives would you like to see from the federal government?
Bart, I thought you were retired. We need incentives for travel. Different provinces have done different incentives as a provincial thing, but we need, Minister Jolie and the Prime Minister to put some money into tourism, give people an incentive to get out and travel. So that Canadians will feel more confident about traveling. And sometimes you need that incentive to build confidence. So, yeah, we're looking for a travel incentive plan, whatever that may be. But it needs to be, that's not saying the provincial government can't do something as well, because, Barry alluded to, we are bleeding to death here, this industry is, and we want to be able to help ourselves. But, of course, being open is the way to do that. But we still need help with liquidity. But we also need confidence building within the country, so we think an incentive plan to get people out traveling again would be the appropriate measures for federal government.
Okay, with that, we will move to questions on the line. Operator, over to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, as a reminder, should you have any questions, please press star 1. Your next question comes from John Ferguson with Travel News. John, please go ahead.
Hi, all. Thanks for taking my question. This question is directly from Mayor Breen. Some people are calling for the border to reopen before an election is called. How important is this for the province and for St. John specifically?
Thanks very much. And having the border reopened is something that the federal government is going to have to deal with in conjunction with with their expertise and their health safety. But I will say that having international travel here is vitally important to the province, both in the tourism industry and in our other industries. We're leaders in ocean sciences. We have companies that are doing a lot of work throughout the world. And so having that connection is vitally important. So, international travel is extremely important to the province and to the city. But it's something that the federal government needs to be working towards.
Follow-up?
Yeah, once again from Mayor Breen. What would be your best case scenario ask towards the federal government in this case?
I'm sorry, I missed the last part.
What would be your best case scenario ask towards the federal government in reopening?
Well, I think right now for reopening, I think what I would like to see is more emphasis put on the ability to travel throughout Canada, to encourage travel amongst Canadians, and to continue to working towards opening the border when it's safe to do so. I'm no medical expert, and it's certainly got to leave the medical expertise to the governments that have that ability. But I think we're moving towards that. And just to give it a local perspective, we've had very good success here because we followed advice and we listened to what the advice was. We followed it, and there is a benefit to doing that. But I think everybody wants to be safe, and at the same time we need to work towards what the point is and what the plan is for reopening.
Any follow-up, John?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you. There are no more questions at this time. You may proceed.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you everyone for joining. Just before we all leave, we'll take a quick photo opportunity in front of Mallard Cottage, which is just on the other side of the building. Thanks to everyone for joining.